The fluorescent lights hummed above Antoinette Harris as her hands trembled over the scattered documents. 2:47 a.m. glowed on her phone screen. Her heart hammered against her ribs as she crouched on the marble floor of the executive suite, her green cleaning uniform stark against the white papers spread before her. This was wrong. Everything about these numbers was wrong. She had been cleaning Sterling Global Technologies for 3 years, always invisible, always unnoticed. Tonight someone had been careless. Papers covered the floor near the shredder, some half fed into the machine, others crumpled near the trash. She had picked them up out of habit, ready to dispose of them properly when the numbers caught her eye. $800 million. Transferred. Hidden. Rerouted through accounts that did not match any legitimate company records she had ever seen during her late-night cleanings. Her business degree, the one she had never finished after her mother got sick, suddenly meant something again. She knew what she was looking at. This was theft. Massive, calculated theft. What are you doing? Antoinette's breath caught. She looked up to find Brandon Pierce, the CEO himself, standing in the doorway. At 38, he was younger than most executives, tall with dark brown skin, wearing a blue shirt rolled to his elbows despite the late hour. His expression was not angry but curious, tired lines around his eyes suggesting he had been working as long as she had been cleaning. Mr. Pierce. She stood quickly, papers still in her hands. I found these on the floor. I was going to throw them away but what? He stepped closer, his voice calm. This was it. She could lie, play dumb, keep her job. Or she could tell the truth and risk everything. But $800 million. That was not just money. That was people's jobs, investments, futures. But these numbers don't make sense, sir. The words tumbled out. I have some business training and these transfers, they're being hidden. Someone is stealing from your company. A lot. $800 million. She expected dismissal. Laughter even. Instead, Brandon Pierce took the papers from her hands and studied them in the harsh office light. His jaw tightened. Minutes passed in heavy silence. You understand what you're looking at? He asked finally. Yes, sir. I do. He looked at her then, really looked at her, as if seeing her for the first time despite passing her in these halls for years. What's your name? Antoinette Harris. How long have you worked here, Antoinette? 3 years on the night cleaning crew. And you have business training? I was 6 months from my degree when I had to drop out. My mother got sick. Medical bills. She should stop talking, but his attention made her feel seen in a way she had not experienced in so long. I always meant to go back. Brandon looked at the papers again, then at her. Can you stay a few more hours? I need your help. My help? If what you're saying is true, and I think it is, then someone in my company has been stealing from us for months, maybe longer. I need someone I can trust. Someone they won't suspect is helping me investigate. He paused. Will you help me, Antoinette? I'll pay you consultant rates for every hour. She should be scared. This was dangerous, getting involved in corporate fraud. But something in his direct gaze, the lack of condescension, the immediate belief in what she had found, made her trust him. Yes, she said without hesitation. I'll help you. Would you dare to risk everything for what's right even when you have everything to lose? Subscribe and tell me in the comments what you would do if you discovered something like this at your workplace. Relief crossed Brandon's face. Thank you. Let me make coffee. We have a long night ahead. They worked until dawn broke over the city skyline. Brandon pulled up financial records on his computer while Antoinette organized the scattered papers, cross-referencing account numbers and dates. Her years of cleaning these offices gave her an unexpected advantage. She knew which executives worked late, whose desks were always messy, who shredded documents regularly. This account here, she pointed to a number on the screen. I've seen paperwork with this routing number on Gerald Morrison's desk. He's the chief financial officer. Brandon's expression darkened. Gerald has been with this company for 12 years. There are 2 other sets of handwriting on these documents, Antoinette continued, studying the papers under the desk lamp. I clean enough offices to recognize people's writing. This one belongs to Patricia Chin, I think. She's the VP of Operations. And this one? I'm not certain, but it might be Thomas Wright from Acquisitions. 3 of my top executives. Brandon rubbed his face. Working together to systematically rob the company blind. The transfers are small enough individually not to trigger automatic alerts, Antoinette explained. But over 18 months they add up. $800 million moved into offshore accounts disguised as legitimate business expenses and investments. How did you learn to read financial statements like this? My mother worked in accounting before she got sick. She taught me. I was going to follow in her footsteps. Antoinette smiled sadly. Life had different plans. Brandon was quiet for a moment. What if life is giving you a second chance right now? Before she could respond, footsteps echoed in the hallway. They both froze. Brandon quickly shut his laptop while Antoinette grabbed her cleaning cart, positioning herself naturally as if she had been working. A security guard poked his head in. "Morning, Mr. Pierce. Didn't expect to see you here this early. Couldn't sleep. Thought I'd get a head start on the week." Brandon's voice was casual. "Antoinette here was kind enough to make me coffee." The guard nodded and continued his rounds. When the footsteps faded, they both exhaled. "That was close," Antoinette whispered. "This is more dangerous than I thought." Brandon looked at her seriously. "These people have stolen $800 million. They won't stop at anything to protect themselves. I can't ask you to put yourself at risk." "You're not asking. I'm choosing." Antoinette met his eyes. "This is right. Someone has to stop them. Then we do this carefully. Secretly." He pulled out his phone. "I'm texting you my private number. If you see or hear anything unusual, anything at all, you contact me immediately." And Antoinette. "Yes. Starting tomorrow, you're officially a consultant for Sterling Global Technologies. I'll process the paperwork today. You'll have access to files, meetings, everything you need. We're going to catch these people and you're going to get the recognition you deserve." Tears pricked her eyes. "Thank you, Mr. Pierce." "Brandon," he corrected gently. "If we're going to be partners in this, call me Brandon." She smiled, hope blooming in her chest for the first time in years. "Thank you, Brandon." As the sun rose over the city, painting the executive suite in shades of orange and pink, Antoinette Harris had no idea her entire life was about to change. She only knew that for once she was exactly where she was supposed to be, doing exactly what she was meant to do. The cleaning lady had just become the key to saving $800 million. And the billionaire CEO who believed in her was about to become so much more than just her boss. Monday morning arrived with Antoinette standing in front of Sterling Global Technologies wearing a maroon dress she had bought years ago for job interviews that never went anywhere. Her cleaning uniform was folded in her locker downstairs, a reminder of where she had been just 72 hours ago. Now, she carried a temporary badge labeled Financial Consultant, and had butterflies rioting in her stomach. Brandon's assistant, a kind woman named Rachel Moore, greeted her warmly. "Mr. Pierce is expecting you. He's cleared his morning to get you set up." The corner office was different in daylight. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the city, and the space felt both impressive and welcoming. Brandon stood as she entered, gesturing to a chair across from his desk. "How are you feeling?" he asked. "Nervous, excited, terrified." Antoinette laughed. "All of it at once. That's exactly how I felt my first day as CEO." He slid a folder across the desk. "Your consultant contract. I've included a signing bonus to help with immediate expenses, and your hourly rate is here. Please review everything and let me know if you have questions." Antoinette opened the folder and her breath caught. The numbers were more than generous. They were life-changing. "Brandon, this is too much." "It's exactly what you're worth," he said firmly. "You found an $800 million fraud scheme. You're saving this company. That deserves proper compensation." "I accept," she said, remembering her promise to herself to receive help with gratitude. "Thank you. This means everything to me." "Good. Now, let's talk about our investigation." Brandon pulled up a screen showing organizational charts. Gerald Morrison, Patricia Chin, and Thomas Wright. "If your instincts are correct, these three are working together. We need to prove it without alerting them that we know." "How do we do that?" "Carefully. I've arranged for you to have access to our financial database, but we'll say it's for a general audit review. Nothing that would make them suspicious. You'll work from a small office near mine. To everyone else, you're a consultant I hired to streamline our financial reporting processes." Over the next 3 hours, Brandon walked Antoinette through the company's structure, key personnel, and normal financial procedures. His patience impressed her. He never made her feel stupid for asking questions, never rushed her understanding. "You're a good teacher," she said during a coffee break. "You're a quick learner." He smiled. "I've sat through presentations with executives who have MBAs and decades of experience, and you're grasping these concepts faster than most of them did. My mother always said I had a head for numbers." "How is your mother?" Brandon asked. "You mentioned she's been ill." "She has heart problems. The medications are expensive, and the doctors say she might need surgery eventually." Antoinette stirred her coffee. I worked 2 jobs to keep up with the bills. Or I did. I'm not sure what happens with my night cleaning position now. I'll make sure you keep it if you want it, but Antoinette? Brandon leaned forward. What if you didn't need 2 jobs anymore? What if this consultant position became permanent? I couldn't ask for that. You're not asking. I'm offering. Once we resolve this fraud situation, I want you on my team. Officially. With benefits, including health insurance that would cover your mother's treatment. Antoinette's eyes welled with tears. You would do that? I take care of people who take care of my company. That's how I do business. His voice was gentle. Will you accept? Yes. The word came out as a whisper. Yes, absolutely. Thank you. Then it's settled. Now let's catch some thieves. They spent the afternoon reviewing financial records. Antoinette's sharp eye caught patterns that Brandon had missed. Small transfers, always just under the threshold for executive review, timed to coincide with legitimate large expenses that would mask the withdrawals. They're smart, Antoinette noted. Look at this. Every time the company makes a major acquisition or investment, there's a corresponding fraudulent transfer. It gets buried in the larger transaction. Which means they have to know about major deals before they happen, Brandon added. That's information only discussed in senior executive meetings. So all three have to be in on it together. They're covering for each other. Exactly. Brandon printed several documents. I need you to compare these signatures with documents you've seen on their desks. Can you do that tonight during your cleaning shift? You want me to keep cleaning? For now. It's the perfect cover. No one suspects the cleaning lady, and you have legitimate access to every office in this building. Just be careful. Don't let anyone see you looking at confidential documents. That night, Antoinette returned to Sterling Global Technologies in her green uniform. The building felt different now. She was not just cleaning. She was investigating. Every office held potential evidence, every paper trail a clue. She started with Gerald Morrison's office. The CFO kept a neat desk, but his shredder bin was full. Antoinette carefully sifted through the strips, finding account numbers that matched the fraudulent transfers. She photographed everything with her phone, the camera Brandon had given her for exactly this purpose. Patricia Chen's office was messier. Papers stacked on every surface, coffee cups forgotten on the windowsill. But in that chaos, Antoinette found gold. A handwritten note tucked into a drawer. Next transfer, Thursday 3 p.m. $2.7 million. Account 4478. Thursday was in 2 days. Thomas Wright's office yielded the final piece. A ledger hidden behind a row of binders, tracking every fraudulent transfer for the past 18 months. He had been keeping records, probably as insurance against his partners turning on him. At 3 a.m., Antoinette sent everything to Brandon. Her phone rang 30 seconds later. This is it. Brandon's voice was tight with controlled excitement. This is everything we need. Antoinette, you're brilliant. I just looked in the right places. No. You knew where to look, what to look for, and you found it. Meet me tomorrow morning at 7. We need to plan how to catch them in the act on Thursday. I'll be there. And Antoinette? Be careful going home. Take the main streets, stay where there are people. His concern warmed her. I will. See you tomorrow. Tuesday morning, they sat in Brandon's office with coffee and the evidence spread between them. Outside, the city woke up, but inside they were planning a takedown. If they're moving $2.7 million on Thursday at 3 p.m., we need to catch them accessing the accounts, Brandon explained. I've contacted our IT security team, people I trust absolutely. They're going to monitor all 3 executives' computers on Thursday without them knowing. What if they get suspicious? They won't. We've disguised it as a routine security update happening throughout the building. Everyone's computers will show the same monitoring software. They won't know they're being singled out. And once we have them, I'll confront them with the board's full backing. The authorities will be standing by. They'll be arrested, the money recovered, and the company will be safe. Antoinette nodded, processing the plan. What do you need me to do? Thursday afternoon, I need you in the conference room next to the executive suite. You'll present the evidence to the board. They need to hear it from you, see how you pieced it together. Are you comfortable with that? Public speaking had never been her strength, but this was too important to let fear stop her. I'll do it. I know you will. Brandon smiled. I have complete faith in you. Wednesday passed in preparation. Brandon coached Antoinette on presenting to the board, helping her organize the evidence into a clear timeline. He was patient when she stumbled over financial terminology, encouraging when she got frustrated, proud when she finally got it right. You're going to do great, he said at the end of the day. The board is going to be impressed. I hope so. I know so. He hesitated, then added, Antoinette, I want you to know how much I appreciate what you're doing. You didn't have to get involved. You could have just thrown those papers away that night and gone on with your life. But then 3 people would keep stealing from good people who work here. From you. That's not right. Still. You chose to do the right thing when it was hard. That says everything about who you are. That night Antoinette could not sleep. Tomorrow would change everything. Either they would catch the thieves and save the company or something would go wrong. She thought about her mother, about the medical treatments Brandon's health insurance could provide. She thought about finishing her degree, about having a real career instead of just jobs. Most of all, she thought about Brandon. About his kindness, his immediate trust in her, his determination to do right by his employees. He could have dismissed her that night, could have investigated on his own. Instead, he had given her a chance to be part of the solution. Thursday morning arrived bright and clear. Antoinette wore a blue dress her mother had given her for luck. She arrived at Sterling Global Technologies at 6 a.m., her presentation materials in a leather portfolio Brandon had gifted her the day before. Ready? Brandon asked when she entered his office. Ready, she confirmed. Then let's go save $800 million. The conference room on the 45th floor felt like the center of the universe. 20 board members filled the leather chairs around the massive table, their expressions ranging from curious to skeptical. Antoinette stood at the front, Brandon beside her, the evidence of fraud displayed on the screen behind them. Ladies and gentlemen, Brandon began, his voice carrying authority and calm. Thank you for gathering on short notice. What we're about to share with you is serious. 3 of our senior executives have been systematically stealing from Sterling Global Technologies for 18 months. The total amount, $800 million. The room erupted in shocked murmurs. Dorothy Williams, the board chair, raised her hand for silence. That's an extraordinary accusation, Brandon. You better have extraordinary proof. We do. Brandon gestured to Antoinette. This is Antoinette Harris, a financial consultant I brought in to conduct a discreet audit. What she found will speak for itself. Antoinette. Her mouth was dry, but she stepped forward. Public speaking had terrified her in college, but this was different. This mattered. She thought of her mother, of all the people whose livelihoods depended on this company, and found her voice. Good morning. 2 weeks ago, I discovered documents that showed irregular financial transfers. What started as one suspicious transaction led to uncovering an elaborate scheme involving 3 executives: Gerald Morrison, Patricia Chin, and Thomas Wright. She clicked to the first slide showing the transfer patterns. They worked in coordination. Mr. Morrison, as CFO, authorized the transfers. Ms. Chin, overseeing operations, created false invoices to justify the expenses. Mr. Wright, in acquisitions, timed the thefts to coincide with major deals where large sums of money moving would seem normal. Slide after slide, she walked them through the evidence. Account numbers, signatures, dates, amounts. The pattern was undeniable. With each new piece of evidence, the board members' expressions shifted from skepticism to belief to anger. The beauty of their scheme, Antoinette continued, was that individually each transfer seemed legitimate. Only when you tracked them over time did the pattern emerge. They stole small enough amounts that no single transaction triggered automatic review, but large enough that over 18 months, it totaled $800 million. How did you find this? Dorothy asked. Our auditors review our financials quarterly. How did they miss it? Antoinette took a breath. I found the initial documents by accident during my other job. I work as a night cleaner in this building. Papers had been dropped near a shredder on the executive floor. I picked them up and recognized the irregularities. The room went silent. A board member named Richard Foster spoke up. Let me understand this. Our cleaning lady discovered an $800 million fraud that our paid auditors missed. Yes, sir. Antoinette met his gaze. Sometimes fresh eyes see what familiar ones overlook. And you brought this to Brandon immediately? Dorothy asked. Yes, ma'am. That same night. Why? Richard pressed. You could have taken that information anywhere. Sold it even. Why bring it to the CEO? Because it was the right thing to do. This company employs thousands of people. That money being stolen affects their jobs, their families. I couldn't stay silent. Dorothy smiled. Brandon, you chose well. Brandon stepped forward. At 3 p.m. today we'll catch them in the act. Our IT security team is monitoring their computers. They're scheduled to transfer another $2.7 million. When they do, we'll have real-time proof of the theft and authorities standing by will make arrests. How did you learn about today's transfer? Another board member asked. Antoinette answered. I found a note in one of their offices indicating the date, time, and amount. They had to communicate somehow about coordinating the thefts. They got careless. Or arrogant, Dorothy added. Thieves usually do, eventually. The presentation lasted 2 hours. Antoinette answered every question with clarity, her nervousness replaced by confidence as she spoke. Brandon watched her with obvious pride, occasionally adding context but mostly letting her shine. When it ended, the board voted unanimously to proceed with catching the executives and involving law enforcement. Dorothy approached Antoinette directly. Young lady, you have remarkable talents. What's your educational background? I have some college, ma'am. Business administration. I had to leave before finishing my degree. Why? My mother became ill. I needed to work to pay her medical bills. Dorothy nodded thoughtfully. Brandon, I assume you're planning to keep Ms. Harris on staff? Absolutely. I've already offered her a permanent consulting position. Make it better, Dorothy said. Financial Oversight Director. Full benefits, salary commensurate with the $800 million she just saved us. And fund her education. If she wants to finish her degree, Sterling Global Technologies should pay for it. Antoinette's eyes widened. That's too generous. It's exactly what you've earned, Dorothy said firmly. You could have done nothing. You could have kept quiet. Instead, you risked your job, your safety, and your time to protect this company. That loyalty deserves to be rewarded. Do you accept? Antoinette looked at Brandon, who nodded encouragingly. She thought about her mother's medical bills, about finishing her degree, about having a real career with purpose and meaning. Yes, she said, gratitude flooding her voice. I accept. Thank you so much. Don't thank me yet. You still have to catch these criminals in the act. Dorothy checked her watch. It's 1 p.m. 2 hours until showtime. Those 2 hours crawled by. Brandon and Antoinette waited in his office, the IT security team set up in an adjacent room, and law enforcement officers positioned discreetly throughout the building. Everything was ready. At 2:55 p.m., Brandon's computer chimed. The IT team leader, a sharp woman named Vanessa Rodriguez, appeared on his screen via video call. They're logging in, Vanessa reported. All three of them from their respective offices. Morrison is accessing the main financial account. Chin is pulling up the false invoice system. Wright is opening the offshore account portal. Brandon squeezed Antoinette's hand. This is it. On the screen, they watched keystroke by keystroke as the three executives executed their theft. At exactly 3:04 p.m., the transfer completed. $2.7 million moved from Sterling Global Technologies to an offshore account in the Cayman Islands. Got them, Vanessa confirmed. Full digital trail, time-stamped and recorded. The transfer is complete and documented. Brandon was already moving. Let's go. They walked through the building to Gerald Morrison's office, law enforcement following quietly. Brandon knocked once, then entered without waiting. Gerald Morrison looked up from his computer, his expression shifting from annoyance to confusion to fear as he saw Brandon, Antoinette, and the officers behind them. What's going on? Gerald asked, trying to sound casual. You just transferred $2.7 million to an offshore account, Brandon said coldly. We have digital records of every keystroke. It's over, Gerald. I don't know what you're talking about. Yes, you do. We have 18 months of evidence. Every transfer, every false invoice, every theft. You, Patricia, and Thomas stole $800 million from this company. Gerald's face went white. Down the hall, they could hear similar confrontations happening in Patricia's and Thomas's offices. An officer stepped forward. Gerald Morrison, you're under arrest for embezzlement, wire fraud, and conspiracy. As they read him his rights, Gerald looked at Antoinette. Who are you? Someone who pays attention, she said quietly. The arrest took 30 minutes. All three executives were escorted from the building in handcuffs, their shocked colleagues watching from office windows. News crews, alerted by Brandon's team, filmed everything. The story would be everywhere by evening. Major fraud uncovered at Sterling Global Technologies, $800 million recovered, arrests made. Back in Brandon's office, Antoinette collapsed into a chair, adrenaline finally fading. We did it, she breathed. You did it, Brandon corrected. None of this happens without you finding those papers, without you having the knowledge to understand what you were looking at, and without you having the courage to come forward. I couldn't have done it alone. Neither could I. That's what makes us a good team. His phone rang. Then again. And again. Media requests, board members calling to congratulate them, employees wanting to know what happened. The office became chaos. Through it all, Antoinette sat in the corner, watching Brandon handle each call with grace and precision. He gave credit to the IT team, to the board's swift action, to law enforcement's cooperation. And over, he mentioned Antoinette Harris, the financial consultant whose sharp eyes had saved the company. By evening her phone was ringing too. Her mother, frantic with worry after seeing the news. Friends she had not heard from in years, suddenly interested in her success. Job offers from other companies, though she had no intention of accepting any of them. "You're famous," Brandon said with a smile when the calls finally slowed. "I don't want to be famous. I just wanted to do the right thing." "Too late. You're a hero whether you want to be or not." He gestured to his computer screen. "Look at this. Hashtag Cleaning Lady Saves Company is trending on social media. People are calling you an inspiration." Antoinette looked at the post. Stories of other people who had spoken up about wrongdoing, who had done the right thing despite the risks. Messages from young women saying she inspired them to pursue business careers. Teachers sharing her story in classrooms as an example of integrity. "This is overwhelming," she admitted. "It is. But it's also an opportunity." Brandon sat beside her. "You have a platform now. People are listening. What do you want to say?" She thought about her mother, about all the years working multiple jobs, about almost giving up on her dreams. "I want to say that it's never too late. That one moment of courage can change everything. That doing the right thing matters even when it's hard." "Then say it." "The media wants interviews. You don't have to do any you're not comfortable with, but if you want to share your story, people are ready to hear it. Will you help me? I don't know how to handle all this." "Of course. We're partners, remember?" As the sun set over the city, painting Brandon's office in shades of purple and gold, Antoinette realized her life had transformed completely. 24 hours ago, she was a night cleaner with a high school diploma and crushing medical debt. Now, she was the financial oversight director of a major corporation, with her education funded and her mother's health care secured. And she had Brandon Pierce, a billionaire CEO who treated her as an equal, who believed in her abilities, who had given her a chance when no one else would. The investigation was complete. The fraud was exposed. The money was saved. But somehow, Antoinette sensed that her story with Brandon was just beginning. 3 weeks after the arrests, life at Sterling Global Technologies had settled into a new rhythm. Antoinette arrived each morning in professional clothes, her old cleaning uniform a memory. Her office, smaller than Brandon's but with a view of the city, felt like a dream she might wake from at any moment. "Morning," Rachel said, handing her coffee as she passed. "Brandon wants to see you when you get settled." "Thanks, Rachel." Antoinette had learned that Rachel had worked for Brandon for 7 years, fiercely loyal and genuinely kind. They had become friends quickly. In Brandon's office, she found him reviewing reports with Vanessa from IT security. "Antoinette, perfect timing." Brandon gestured to a chair. "Vanessa was updating me on the recovered funds. The offshore accounts have been frozen, and we're in the process of transferring everything back to sterling." "How much have we recovered so far?" Antoinette asked. $743 million, Vanessa reported. "The remaining $57 million was moved to secondary accounts we're still tracing. But we'll get it. These people weren't as smart as they thought they were." After Vanessa left, Brandon turned to Antoinette with a more serious expression. "How are you handling everything? The media attention, the new position, all of it?" "It's a lot," she admitted. "I did an interview yesterday with a business magazine. They kept asking how it felt to go from cleaning lady to director in one night. Like it was magic or luck." "What did you tell them?" "That it wasn't one night. It was years of not giving up, of learning everything I could, of being ready when the opportunity came." She smiled. "And that I had help from someone who believed in me." "You give me too much credit. You give yourself too little." They had fallen into an easy rapport, this billionaire CEO and the woman who used to clean his office. Brandon never made her feel less than, never talked down to her. When she did not understand something, he taught her. When she had ideas, he listened. It was a partnership built on mutual respect, and Antoinette treasured it. "I need to ask you something," Brandon said, his tone shifting. "It's personal and you can absolutely say no." "Okay. Your mother. You mentioned she needs heart surgery. Has she been able to schedule it?" Antoinette's smile faded. "Not yet. Even with the insurance Sterling provides, the deductible is high. I'm saving up but it takes time." "How much do you need?" "Brandon, no. You've already done so much. How much, Antoinette? She sighed. $35,000. That covers the deductible and the post-surgery care she'll need. Brandon pulled out his phone, typed something, then showed her the screen. Check your bank account. With shaking hands, Antoinette opened her banking app. Her balance showed a deposit made 15 minutes ago. $35,000 with the note, for your mother's surgery. No repayment necessary. Tears spilled down her cheeks. I can't accept this. Yes, you can. You saved this company $800 million. $35,000 is nothing compared to that. It's not nothing to me. It's everything. Then accept it as a gift from someone who cares about you and your mother's well-being. Please, Antoinette. Let me help. She thought about her mother, about the pain she lived with daily, about the surgery that could give her years of better health. Pride wanted her to refuse, but love for her mother was stronger. Thank you, she whispered. I accept. With all my heart, thank you. Brandon came around the desk and pulled her into a hug. It was brief but warm, the kind of embrace that spoke of genuine friendship. Call your mother. Schedule the surgery. Take whatever time you need to be with her. I will. Antoinette wiped her eyes. You're a good person, Brandon Pierce. So are you. That's why we work so well together. That afternoon, Antoinette called her mother from her office, tears streaming down her face as she shared the news. Baby, are you serious? Her mother, Diane Harris, sounded breathless. We can afford the surgery? Yes, Mama. Brandon gave us the money. All of it. You can call Dr. Martinez today and schedule it. That man is an angel. He really is. And you, baby girl. Look at you. I'm so proud of who you've become. I love you, Mama. I love you too. Now let me go call that doctor before I start crying too hard to dial. Antoinette hung up feeling lighter than she had in years. For so long, the weight of her mother's illness had pressed on her chest, constant and heavy. Now that weight lifted. Her mother would get the surgery. She would get better. And it was all because one person had believed in her enough to give her a chance. That evening, she worked late finishing reports Brandon needed for a board meeting. Most of the office had emptied by 7, but she was determined to complete everything perfectly. She owed Brandon that much and more. You're still here? She looked up to find Brandon in her doorway, his jacket slung over his shoulder. Almost done. Just finalizing these quarterly projections. Those aren't due until Friday. I know. But I want to make sure they're perfect. Brandon entered her office, glancing at her work. Antoinette, you don't have to prove yourself anymore. You've already shown everyone what you're capable of. I'm not trying to prove anything. I just want to do good work. You are. Exceptional work. He hesitated. Are you hungry? I was about to grab dinner. Want to join me? Like a working dinner? Like two friends getting food because it's late and we're both hungry. Friends. The word settled warmly in her chest. I'd like that. They went to a quiet restaurant near the office, nothing fancy but comfortable. Over pasta and salad they talked about everything except work. Brandon shared stories about growing up in Chicago, about his parents who had pushed him to pursue business school even when money was tight, about building sterling global technologies from a small startup to the corporation it was now. My father always said, success means nothing if you step on people to get it, Brandon said. He taught me to lift others up, to create opportunities, to build something that mattered beyond just profit. He sounds like a wise man. He was. He passed 5 years ago. Heart attack, very sudden. I'm sorry. Me too. I wish he could see Sterling now. See what we've built. I think he knows, Antoinette said softly. I think he'd be very proud of you. What about your father? Brandon asked. You've mentioned your mother but never your dad. He left when I was 8. Just packed a bag one day and never came back. Antoinette stirred her water. It was hard on my mom. She worked 2 jobs to keep us afloat. I promised myself I'd make her proud, make her sacrifices worth something. You have. Look at what you've accomplished. Only because you gave me a chance. No. Because you were ready when the chance came. There's a difference. Their dinner stretched to 3 hours. They talked about books, movies, childhood dreams, and adult realities. Brandon made her laugh with impressions of difficult board members. Antoinette shared stories about the characters she had met working night shift cleaning jobs. There was this one guy, she said giggling, who worked security at a law firm I cleaned. He was convinced the building was haunted. Every night, he'd tell me about the ghost lawyer who supposedly walked the halls. Was it haunted? It was the wind rattling the windows. But he was so convinced I didn't have the heart to tell him. Brandon laughed, the sound genuine and free. You're kind. Even when you don't have to be. Kindness costs nothing. It costs time, energy, emotional investment. But you're right that it's worth it. He signaled for the check. Thank you for tonight. I needed this. Me too. Outside, the night was cool, the city alive with lights and noise. Brandon insisted on making sure she got a ride home safely, waiting with her until her car arrived. See you tomorrow? He asked. Bright and early. As Antoinette rode home, she thought about the evening. It had felt different from their work dinners, more personal, more real. Brandon had let his guard down, shown her parts of himself beyond the CEO persona. And she had done the same. They were building something beyond a professional partnership. They were building friendship, trust, and maybe, just maybe, something more. But Antoinette pushed that thought away. Brandon Pierce was a billionaire CEO. She was still figuring out her new life. Friendship was enough. Friendship was everything. Still, as she climbed into bed that night, she could not stop smiling. The next morning brought her mother's surgery date, 3 weeks away. Dr. Martinez could fit Diane in sooner than expected, thanks to a cancellation. Antoinette immediately requested time off, and Brandon approved it without hesitation. Take as long as you need, he said. Family comes first. Thank you. For everything. Stop thanking me. Start believing you deserve all of this. Those words stayed with her. Deserve. For so long she had felt like she was borrowing time, borrowing opportunity, borrowing success. But Brandon was right. She had worked for this. She had earned this. It was time to believe it. The following weeks were a whirlwind. Antoinette trained for her new role, learning systems and processes. Brandon included her in executive meetings, where she met the new CFO and other department heads brought in to replace the arrested executives. Everyone treated her with respect, word of her fraud-busting spreading through the company like wildfire. You're like a legend here now, Rachel told her one morning. People call you the guardian of Sterling. That's dramatic. But accurate. You protected us all. The day before her mother's surgery, Brandon called Antoinette into his office. On his desk sat a gift bag. What's this? She asked. Open it. Inside she found a leather journal embossed with her initials, and tucked in the first page, a card. She opened it to find Brandon's handwriting. For all the thoughts, dreams, and plans ahead. Your story is just beginning. Proud to be part of it. B. Brandon. Her voice caught. I know tomorrow is going to be hard. Surgery always is, even when we know it's necessary. I wanted you to have something to help process whatever you're feeling. This is perfect. Thank you. Your mother is going to do great. Dr. Martinez is the best in the city. And you'll be with her. That's what matters. Will you? She hesitated. Would you want updates? Or is that too personal? I'd love updates. Text me whenever you want. Day or night. The next morning, Antoinette sat in the hospital waiting room, the leather journal in her lap. The surgery took 4 hours. 4 hours of pacing, praying, and writing every thought and fear in Brandon's gift. When Dr. Martinez finally emerged, smiling, Antoinette nearly collapsed with relief. She did beautifully, the doctor reported. The repair was successful. She'll need 6 weeks of recovery, but her prognosis is excellent. Antoinette texted Brandon immediately, surgery successful. Mama's going to be okay. His response came seconds later, thank God. So happy for you both. She saw her mother briefly in recovery, Diane still groggy but smiling. My baby girl, Diane whispered. Did I do okay? You did perfect, Mama. Rest now. Tell that boss of yours I said thank you. I will. That night, exhausted and emotionally drained, Antoinette returned home to find a delivery waiting. Flowers, beautiful and bright, with a card. To Mrs. Harris, wishing you the speediest recovery. To Antoinette, you're stronger than you know. Brandon. She took a photo and texted it to him. You didn't have to do this. I wanted to. Get some sleep. See you when you're ready to come back. Antoinette fell asleep that night feeling blessed beyond measure. Her mother was healing. Her career was thriving. And she had a friend who cared about her well-being as much as her work performance. Life had changed so completely in such a short time. 6 weeks ago she was invisible. Now she was seen, valued, and appreciated. And the man responsible for so much of that change was becoming more important to her every day. But friendship, she reminded herself. Just friendship. Even if her heart was starting to whisper otherwise. Antoinette spent 2 weeks caring for her mother, those days filled with hospital visits, medication schedules, and gradual improvement. Diane Harris regained strength daily, her color returning, her spirits lifting. On day 12 she looked at her daughter and said, "Baby, you need to get back to work." "I'm fine. Better than fine. I'm healing." "Are you sure, Mama?" "Positive. You have a career now, a real future. Don't put it on hold for me. You're my priority. And you're mine. That's why I'm telling you to go. Make me proud, baby girl." So Antoinette returned to Sterling Global Technologies on a Monday morning, her heart both reluctant to leave her mother and eager to return to work she loved. Rachel greeted her with a huge smile and a coffee exactly how she liked it. "We missed you," Rachel said. "Brandon's been asking about you every day." "How is he?" "Busy. There's a potential merger on the table that has him working 16-hour days. But he'll want to see you as soon as you're settled." Antoinette found her office exactly as she had left it, with one addition: a small plant on her desk with a note from Brandon. "Welcome back. Your office felt empty without you." She smiled, touching the green leaves. Such a simple gesture, but it warmed her completely. At lunch, Brandon appeared in her doorway. He looked tired, circles under his eyes, his blue shirt rumpled. "You're back," he said, relief evident in his voice. "I'm back. Mama's doing great, by the way. She wanted me to thank you again. I'm just glad she's better." He entered her office, closing the door behind him. "I need to talk to you about something important. Do you have time?" "Of course." Brandon sat, running a hand over his face. "You remember how I mentioned a potential merger? It's with Donovan Tech Industries. They're smaller than us but have technology we need. The board thinks it's a good move and financially it makes sense. But I don't trust their CEO, Mitchell Donovan. Something feels off. The numbers look good, almost too good. I've been reviewing everything and I can't find anything wrong, but my instincts are screaming at me to be careful." "What do your instincts usually tell you?" "The truth. Always." He met her eyes. "I need your help again. Fresh eyes, someone who sees patterns others miss. Will you review the Donovan files? Tell me if I'm being paranoid or if there's really something to worry about." "Absolutely. Send me everything." Relief washed over his features. "Thank you. I knew I could count on you." Over the next week, Antoinette buried herself in Donovan Tech Industries' financial records. Brandon had given her complete access, and she used every skill she had learned, both in school and through experience. The numbers were clean. The projections were solid. The merger made perfect business sense. But something nagged at her, a familiar itch in her brain that she had learned to trust. On Friday evening she found it. Hidden in subsidiary company transactions, masked by layers of corporate structure, was the same pattern she had seen with Morrison, Chin, and Wright. Small transfers, timed strategically, designed to disappear in larger financial movements. Donovan Tech Industries was being embezzled. Someone inside their company was stealing, and Mitchell Donovan either did not know or was part of it. Antoinette called Brandon immediately. "Found something?" he answered, skipping greetings. "You need to see this. Can you come to my office?" "On my way." 5 minutes later, Brandon stood behind her desk, studying her screen. As she walked him through her findings, his expression grew darker. "This is the same scheme," he said. "Almost identical to what Morrison and his team did." "Exactly. Which means someone at Donovan taught our executives how to do it, or vice versa. Or they're connected somehow." Brandon pulled out his phone. "I'm calling an emergency board meeting. We need to postpone this merger immediately until we know what we're dealing with. What if Donovan is innocent? What if he doesn't know this is happening? Then we're helping him the same way you helped me." Brandon squeezed her shoulder. "Good work, Antoinette. You may have just saved Sterling from making a catastrophic mistake." The emergency board meeting happened Saturday morning. Dorothy Williams looked exhausted, clearly frustrated at being called in on a weekend, but her annoyance turned to alarm as Antoinette presented her findings. "This merger could have transferred Donovan's problems directly onto our books," Dorothy said. "We would have been liable for their losses. Or worse," added Richard Foster. "If whoever is stealing from them gained access to our systems through the merger, they could have drained our accounts too." Brandon addressed the room. "I recommend we suspend all merger talks immediately and alert Donovan to the theft. It's the ethical thing to do." "Agreed," Dorothy said. "All in favor?" The vote was unanimous. Monday morning, Brandon and Antoinette met with Mitchell Donovan and his team in a neutral conference room downtown. Donovan was a tall man in his 50s, impeccably dressed, with an air of confidence that bordered on arrogance. "Brandon," Mitchell greeted him with a firm handshake. I was surprised by your request to meet before finalizing the merger. Is there a problem? There is. A significant one. Brandon gestured to Antoinette. This is Antoinette Harris, my Director of Financial Oversight. She's discovered something in your company's records that we need to discuss. Mitchell's eyes swept over Antoinette dismissively. Your financial person found an issue with our books? Our auditors are top tier. I'm sure it's just a misunderstanding. Antoinette felt the sting of his condescension but kept her voice professional. Mr. Donovan, your company has been experiencing systematic theft for at least 14 months. Someone is embezzling funds using a sophisticated scheme to hide the transfers. That's absurd. It's not. She opened her tablet, showing him the evidence. These patterns are identical to a fraud scheme we uncovered at Sterling. Someone inside your company, likely at the executive level, is stealing from you. Mitchell studied the screen, his arrogance fading to concern. How much? Based on what I've traced so far, approximately $200 million. The color drained from Mitchell's face. 200 million? Possibly more. The scheme is ongoing. Oh, who in my company is doing this? That's what we need to investigate together, Brandon said. We're postponing the merger until we can verify that Donovan Tech is stable and secure. But we want to help you stop whoever is stealing from you. Mitchell's pride visibly wrestled with reality. Finally he nodded. What do you need from me? Full access to your financial systems and cooperation from your IT team. We'll bring in our security specialists to work with yours. And Mr. Donovan, you need to be prepared for the possibility that someone you trust is behind this. How did you get so good at finding these things? Mitchell asked Antoinette, respect finally entering his tone. Practice. Unfortunately. She smiled slightly. The person who embezzled from Sterling taught us what to look for. Over the next 3 weeks, Antoinette and Vanessa worked with Donovan Tech's team to trace the theft. It led to Donovan's VP of Finance, a woman named Patricia Summers who had worked there for 8 years. She had been careful, methodical, and almost successful. Almost. When confronted with the evidence, Patricia broke down immediately. I learned it from Gerald Morrison at Sterling, she confessed. We met at a finance conference. He showed me how to hide the transfers, said no one would ever notice. I was stupid to believe him. You were stupid to steal, Mitchell said coldly. Pack your desk. Authorities are waiting to arrest you. After Patricia's arrest, Mitchell approached Brandon and Antoinette in the Donovan Tech lobby. I owe you both an apology and my gratitude, he said, humility replacing his earlier arrogance. You saved my company and you didn't have to. The merger would have gone through and this would have become your problem. But you chose to help me instead. It was the right thing to do, Brandon said simply. Miss Harris. Mitchell turned to Antoinette. You have a remarkable gift. If you ever want to leave Sterling, I'll triple whatever Brandon is paying you. I appreciate that, but I'm happy where I am. I figured, but I had to try. He shook both their hands. When this is settled and my company is stable again, let's revisit the merger conversation. I think Sterling and Donovan could do great things together. I'd like that, Brandon agreed. In the car back to Sterling's headquarters, Antoinette leaned her head against the window, exhausted. You did it again, Brandon said quietly. Saved another company, caught another thief. We did it together. No. You found the pattern. I just gave you the opportunity to look. There's a difference. He paused. Antoinette, do you realize how rare your skills are? You see things other people miss. You connect dots that seem unconnected. That's a gift. Or I've just cleaned enough offices to know when something looks wrong. Brandon laughed. Maybe. But I think it's more than that. I think you're brilliant, and I'm grateful every day that you found those papers on my executive floor. Me too, she admitted. My whole life changed that night. Mine too. She looked at him, curious. How did your life change? You were already a successful CEO. I was lonely, Brandon said, surprising her with his honesty. I had a company, money, success. But I didn't have anyone I could really talk to, anyone who understood the pressure of this position. Then you came along and suddenly I had a partner. Someone I could trust completely. That changed everything. You're not lonely anymore? Not even a little bit. He smiled at her. You gave me more than just help with fraud detection. You gave me friendship. That's priceless. Friendship. That word again. It should have been enough. It was enough. Antoinette refused to want more, refused to complicate what they had built. But late that night, alone in her apartment, she let herself imagine. What if they were more than friends? What if the long looks and easy laughter meant something deeper? What if Brandon felt the same pull she did, the same awareness that every conversation, every shared moment, was building to something inevitable? No. She pushed the thoughts away. Brandon Pierce was her boss, her mentor, her friend. That had to be enough. Even if her heart whispered that she was falling in love with him. Subscribe to see how this story unfolds. Do you think Antoinette and Brandon will remain just friends, or is something more developing between them? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Spring arrived in the city with warmth and blooming trees. 3 months had passed since Antoinette's return from caring for her mother, 3 months of working closely with Brandon on various projects. The Donovan merger was back on track, pending final approvals. Sterling Global Technologies was thriving. And Antoinette Harris had become one of the most respected voices in the company. "Morning," Rachel said, handing Antoinette her usual coffee as she arrived. "Brandon wants to see you when you have a minute." "Something about a company dinner?" "Company dinner?" "He's been vague about it. Just said it's important." In Brandon's office, Antoinette found him on the phone, gesturing for her to sit. She waited, admiring the new photos on his desk. One showed his parents young and smiling. Another captured a charity event Sterling had sponsored last month. "Sorry about that," Brandon said, ending his call. "Board member with questions about quarterly projections." "What's this about a company dinner?" "Right. So, Sterling hosts an annual event to celebrate our success and thank key employees. It's next Friday at the Grand Plaza Hotel. Black tie, fancy food, the whole production." He paused. "I'd like you to attend as my guest." "Your guest? I know it's not your usual thing. These events can be stuffy and boring. But you're a major reason Sterling is doing so well right now. People want to meet you, thank you. And honestly, I'd like your company. These things are easier when I have someone to talk to." "What does 'as your guest' mean exactly?" "It means you'll sit at my table with the senior leadership team. You'll be introduced formally. And we'll probably have to endure at least one speech praising our fraud-busting team." He smiled. "Fair warning, Dorothy loves giving speeches." Antoinette considered. The thought of a formal event intimidated her, but Brandon was right. She was part of Sterling's success story now. Hiding from recognition would not serve anyone. "Okay. I'll go." "Really? You don't have to if you're not comfortable." "I want to." "You're right. It's time I stopped thinking of myself as the cleaning lady hiding in the shadows." "You were never hiding. You were preparing. There's a difference." Brandon pulled out his phone. "Now about what to wear. Rachel has connections to some great boutiques. She can help you find something perfect for the event. And before you argue about the cost, Sterling has an allowance for formal attire for events like this. It's literally in the budget." "You thought of everything." "I try." That weekend, Antoinette went shopping with Rachel, who proved to be an excellent guide. They tried on dozens of dresses before finding the perfect one. A red gown that was elegant without being flashy, sophisticated yet comfortable. "You look beautiful," Rachel said honestly. "Brandon is going to lose his mind when he sees you." "It's not like that. We're just friends." "Sure you are." Rachel's knowing smile said she did not believe that for a second. The night of the dinner arrived with butterflies rioting in Antoinette's stomach. Her mother had helped with her hair, styling it into elegant curls. Simple jewelry borrowed from Diane completed the look. "My baby girl," Diane said, tears in her eyes. "You look like royalty." "It's just a dinner, Mama. It's your life coming full circle. You're going to a fancy event at a luxury hotel, not cleaning it. That's worth celebrating." Brandon picked her up at 7 in a sleek car driven by his regular driver. When he saw her, his expression shifted to something she could not quite read. "Wow," he said simply. "Antoinette, you look incredible." "Thank you. You look pretty good yourself." And he did, in a perfectly tailored black tuxedo that made him look every inch the successful CEO. The Grand Plaza Hotel was magnificent. Crystal chandeliers, marble floors, and everywhere she looked, people in expensive clothes chatting and laughing. Antoinette felt out of place until Brandon offered his arm. "Stay with me. I'll introduce you to people, and remember, you belong here as much as anyone." The evening unfolded like a dream. Brandon introduced her to board members, investors, other CEOs. Each person treated her with respect, many having heard about her role in stopping the fraud. Dorothy Williams hugged her like an old friend. "You've made quite an impression on this company," Dorothy said. "Brandon tells me you're considering going back to school to finish your MBA?" "I am. I start classes next month." "Wonderful. Sterling needs more people with your combination of intelligence and integrity." Dinner was served at round tables, each seating 8. Antoinette sat beside Brandon with Dorothy, Richard Foster, and other senior leaders filling the rest of their table. The conversation flowed easily, ranging from business to personal stories. Brandon made sure she was included in every discussion, never letting her fade into the background. During the meal, his hand briefly touched hers under the table. It was fleeting, possibly accidental, but it sent electricity through her entire body. She glanced at him, but he was listening to Richard discuss quarterly earnings, his expression professional. Had she imagined it? After dinner, Dorothy gave her speech, praising Brandon and Antoinette for their work on the fraud case. She called them to the front, where they received a formal commendation from the board. The room erupted in applause. Speech, someone called out. Brandon took the microphone. Thank you all. This recognition belongs to Antoinette more than me. She's the one who saw what others missed, who had the courage to speak up, and who worked tirelessly to protect Sterling. I'm just grateful she chose to trust me with what she found. He passed the microphone to Antoinette. She had not prepared anything, but words came anyway. When I found those papers on the executive floor, I almost threw them away. It would have been easier. But my mother raised me to do what's right, even when it's hard. This company gave me a chance when I needed it most. Working here, working with Brandon has changed my life. Thank you for welcoming me, for trusting me, and for letting me be part of this team. The applause was warm and genuine. As they returned to their table, Brandon leaned close. That was perfect. I meant every word. After dinner, a band started playing and couples moved to the dance floor. Brandon watched for a moment, then turned to Antoinette. Would you like to dance? Her heart skipped. I'm not very good. Neither am I. We'll figure it out together. On the dance floor, Brandon's hand settled at her waist, their other hands clasped. They swayed to the music, not graceful but comfortable. Thank you for coming tonight, he said quietly. I know these events aren't easy. I'm glad I came. Everyone has been so welcoming. Because they see what I see. Someone special, someone who makes this company better just by being part of it. She looked up at him, finding his gaze intense. Brandon, I need to tell you something. He took a breath. These past few months working with you, getting to know you, it's been the best time of my life. You're smart, kind, funny, and you challenge me to be better. I value our friendship more than I can say. Friendship. There was that word again. I value it too, she managed. Good. Because I don't want to lose that no matter what. No matter what? He opened his mouth to answer, but Dorothy appeared beside them. Hate to interrupt, but Brandon, the mayor, is here and wants to say hello. Can you spare a few minutes? Of course. He released Antoinette reluctantly. I'll be right back. She watched him walk away, her mind spinning. What had he been about to say? And why did her heart feel like it was racing towards something wonderful and terrifying at the same time? Rachel found her at the bar. That looked intense. What was he saying? I'm not sure. We were interrupted. He has feelings for you. Anyone can see it. He called us friends. Men are idiots sometimes. They say, friends, when they mean something else because they're scared. Rachel sipped her champagne. But trust me, that man is falling for you. Even if that's true, it's complicated. He's my boss. He's also a good man who treats you as an equal. Don't let logistics stop you from being happy. Antoinette considered that. Would she let fear of complications stop her from exploring what might be developing between her and Brandon? Or would she be brave, the way she had been that night when she chose to report the fraud? Brandon returned 20 minutes later, looking apologetic. Sorry? The mayor wanted to discuss a community partnership. Are you ready to head out? Actually, yes. It's been a wonderful evening, but I'm exhausted. In the car, they rode in comfortable silence until Brandon spoke. I didn't finish what I was saying earlier. You don't have to. I want to. He turned to face her. Antoinette, you've become one of the most important people in my life. I look forward to seeing you every day. I value your opinion above almost anyone's. When something good happens, you're the first person I want to tell. And when things are difficult, you're who I turn to. Brandon, I feel the same way. These months working with you have been amazing. So, what I'm trying to say is, would you like to have dinner with me? Not a work dinner. Not a company event. Just us as something more than colleagues. As people who enjoy each other's company and want to see where that might lead. Her heart soared. Like a date? Exactly like a date. If you're interested. And if you're not, that's completely fine. We can forget I said anything and go back to being friends and colleagues. Antoinette thought about her mother's words. You deserve happiness. She thought about Rachel's advice. Don't let logistics stop you. Most of all, she thought about Brandon, about his kindness, his respect, his genuine care for her well-being. "Yes," she said, smiling widely. "I'd love to have dinner with you. As a date." Relief and joy washed over his features. "Really? Really? I've been hoping you'd ask." "You have. For weeks now. I just didn't think. I mean, you're Brandon Pierce. You're a billionaire CEO. And I'm still figuring out who I am in this new life. You're Antoinette Harris. You're brilliant, brave, and beautiful. That's who you are." He took her hand. "How about tomorrow night? There's this restaurant I've been wanting to try. Nothing too fancy, just good food and good company." "That sounds perfect." When the car pulled up to her apartment building, Brandon walked her to the door. "Thank you for tonight," he said. "For agreeing to the company dinner, for the dance, and for saying yes to tomorrow." "Thank you for asking me." She hesitated, then stood on tiptoe and kissed his cheek. "Good night, Brandon." "Good night, Antoinette." Inside her apartment, she found her mother waiting up. "How was it?" Diane asked eagerly. "Mama, he asked me on a date." "A real date?" "That man? The CEO?" "Yes. Tomorrow night." Diane pulled her into a hug. "Baby girl, you deserve this. You deserve all the happiness in the world." "I'm scared. What if I mess it up?" "You won't. Just be yourself. That's who he's falling for." That night, Antoinette lay in bed replaying every moment of the evening. The dance, the almost confession, the invitation, the kiss on the cheek that had made Brandon's eyes light up. Her life had transformed from invisible cleaning lady to successful professional. And now, maybe, to something even more wonderful. A relationship with Brandon Pierce seemed impossible. But then again, so had everything else that had happened since that night she found those papers. Maybe impossible was just another word for not yet. Tomorrow would tell. Saturday evening arrived with Antoinette changing outfits 3 times before settling on a green dress that her mother insisted brought out her eyes. Brandon picked her up at 7, looking relaxed in dark jeans and a white button-down shirt. "You look beautiful," he said, offering her flowers. "These are for you. Daisies. My favorite." "How did you know?" "I pay attention." He smiled. "Ready?" The restaurant was a cozy Italian place in a quiet neighborhood, the kind of spot where locals gathered rather than tourists. They were seated at a corner table with candles and soft lighting. "This is perfect," Antoinette said. "I wanted somewhere we could actually talk, not somewhere we'd have to perform for other diners." Over pasta and wine they talked about everything except work. Brandon shared stories about learning to run Sterling, about mistakes he had made early on, about the pressure of living up to his father's legacy. "I spent the first 3 years terrified I'd ruin everything my father built," he admitted. "Every decision felt massive, every choice potentially catastrophic. But you didn't ruin it. You grew it. With a lot of help and a lot of luck." He paused. "And recently with you. I didn't do that much. You saved $800 million and helped me avoid a disastrous merger. I'd say that's significant." Antoinette laughed. "When you put it that way?" "Tell me about your dreams," Brandon said. "Not about Sterling or work. What do you want for yourself?" She considered the question. "I want to finish my MBA. I want to be really good at financial analysis, to be someone companies trust to protect their interests. I want to take care of my mother, make sure she never has to worry about medical bills or basic needs again." "What else?" "What do you mean?" "Those are all about career and family." "What about personal dreams? Travel, hobbies, experiences?" "I've never really thought about it. My life has been about survival for so long, I forgot to dream bigger." "Then let's dream now. If you could go anywhere in the world, where would it be?" "Paris," she said immediately. "My mother always talked about Paris. She wanted to go there with my father, but they never had the money. I'd love to see it, walk the streets she always described." "Then you should go. Someday. When I can afford it." "Antoinette, you can afford it now. Your salary is excellent and you have savings. Why wait for someday when you could go this summer?" The thought terrified and excited her simultaneously. "I wouldn't know where to start. I could help you plan it. Or..." He hesitated. "This might be too forward, but I could go with you. I have business contacts in Paris and I know the city well. We could explore together." "You'd want to go to Paris with me?" "I'd want to go anywhere with you." He reached across the table, taking her hand. "Antoinette, I need to be honest about something. I've been thinking about asking you out for months. But I was afraid. Afraid you'd say no, afraid it would make work awkward, afraid I'd lose you as a colleague and friend." "What changed your mind?" "I realized that not asking was worse than the risk of rejection." Life is too short to let fear stop us from reaching for what we want. His thumb traced circles on her palm. And I want to see where this goes between us. I want to take you to dinner, walk in parks, have lazy Sunday mornings together. I want to know everything about you, the parts you don't show at work. I want that too, she whispered. I've wanted it for a while now. Really? Really? But Brandon, I'm still figuring out who I am in this new life. 6 months ago I was cleaning offices. Now I'm a director at your company. Everything changed so fast. We can take this as slow as you need. There's no pressure, no timeline. We'll figure it out together. Together sounds perfect. They stayed at the restaurant until closing, talking and laughing. When Brandon drove her home, he walked her to the door again. Can I see you tomorrow? He asked. Maybe something casual. Coffee and a walk. I'd like that. He leaned in slowly, giving her time to pull away if she wanted. She did not. Their lips met in a soft, sweet kiss that made her heart race and her knees weak. When they broke apart, both were smiling. Good night, Antoinette. Good night, Brandon. Sunday brought coffee and a long walk through the park. They talked about books, about music, about childhood memories. Brandon held her hand as they walked, the gesture simple but meaningful. I have a confession, he said as they sat on a bench overlooking the lake. Remember that first night, when you showed me the evidence of the fraud? Of course. I knew right then that you were special. The way you explained everything, the confidence despite being scared, the immediate willingness to help. I was impressed before I even knew your name. I was terrified you'd fire me. Fire you? I wanted to hire you on the spot. He laughed. Actually, I did hire you on the spot. Consultant position, remember? That changed my life. It changed mine too. You made me see Sterling differently, see myself differently. You reminded me why I do this work, why it matters. Over the next few weeks they fell into a pattern. Work during the day where they maintained professional boundaries. Dinners and walks in the evenings and on weekends, where they were just Antoinette and Brandon, two people getting to know each other. Her mother adored him. That man looks at you like you hung the moon, Diane said after Brandon joined them for Sunday dinner. Hold on to him, baby girl. I'm trying, Mama. At work, news of their relationship spread quickly despite their attempts at discretion. Most employees were supportive, happy to see Brandon finding personal happiness. A few were jealous, whispering that Antoinette had used the fraud situation to advance her career and seduce the CEO. Rachel shut down those rumors immediately. Antoinette earned her position by being brilliant, and Brandon is smart enough to recognize that. Anyone who says otherwise can talk to me. But the whispers still stung. Antoinette tried to ignore them, focusing on her work and her relationship with Brandon. Still, doubt crept in late at night. Was she good enough for him? Would people always see her as the cleaning lady who got lucky? Brandon sensed her insecurity. Talk to me, he said one evening as they cooked dinner together at his apartment. Something's bothering you. People are talking. At work. Saying I'm with you for money or position. Do you care what they think? I shouldn't. But I do. He set down the knife he had been using to chop vegetables and turned to face her. Antoinette, look at me. Those people don't matter. What matters is that we know the truth. You're with me because we make each other happy, because we respect and care for each other. Anyone who can't see that isn't worth your energy. You're right. Besides, you saved this company $800 million. If anything, I should be worried about people thinking I'm trying to keep you around by dating you. He grinned. Maybe you're the one using me. She laughed, the tension breaking. That's a terrible joke. But it made you smile. Life settled into a new normal. Antoinette excelled in her role, her reputation growing beyond Sterling. She started her MBA classes and found the coursework challenging but manageable. Her mother's health continued to improve, the surgery having given her a new lease on life. And her relationship with Brandon deepened. They discovered shared interests and complementary differences. He was methodical and structured, she was intuitive and creative. Together they balanced each other. 4 months into their relationship, Brandon invited her to meet his extended family at a 4th of July barbecue. Aunts, uncles, cousins and his mother who had flown in from Chicago. My mother is going to interrogate you, Brandon warned as they drove to his cousin's house. She's been waiting for me to bring someone home for years. No pressure or anything. You'll be fine. She'll love you. Brandon's mother, Lorraine Pierce, was a warm woman with silver hair and her son's kind eyes. She hugged Antoinette immediately. So, you're the young lady my son can't stop talking about. Mom, Brandon protested. Don't mom me. I'm allowed to embarrass you. It's part of the job. Lorraine took Antoinette's arm. Come, let me introduce you to everyone. The barbecue was loud, joyful chaos. Brandon's family welcomed Antoinette warmly, sharing stories about Brandon's childhood and asking about her life. No one treated her as an outsider or questioned why she was there. She was Brandon's girlfriend and that was enough. You're good for him, Lorraine said later, finding Antoinette alone in the kitchen. He's happier than I've seen him in years. He's good for me too. I can see that. You light up when you look at him. Lorraine squeezed her hand. My son is a good man, but he's also stubborn and works too much. Take care of him and let him take care of you. I will. Driving home that night, Brandon asked, What do you think? Is my family too much? They're wonderful. Your mother is amazing. She likes you. A lot. She pulled me aside and said, and I quote, Don't mess this up. That girl is special. Your mother said that? She did. And she's right. You are special, Antoinette. These past months with you have been the happiest of my life. Mine too. They drove in comfortable silence until Brandon spoke again. I'm falling in love with you. I need you to know that. No pressure to say it back. I just want you to know where I stand. Antoinette's heart soared. I'm falling in love with you too. I think I have been for a while now. He pulled the car over, turning to face her. Really? Really? You're kind, thoughtful, supportive, and you make me want to be better. How could I not fall in love with you? They kissed in the car on the side of the road, the city lights twinkling around them. It was not their first kiss, but it felt different. More certain, more permanent. I love you, Brandon whispered against her lips. I love you too. Everything was perfect. Antoinette's career was thriving, her mother was healthy, and she was in love with an incredible man who loved her back. But perfection never lasts forever. 2 weeks later, news broke that Gerald Morrison, Patricia Chin, and Thomas Wright had been released from prison pending appeal. Their lawyers had found a technicality in how evidence was collected. They're out. Antoinette stared at the news report in Brandon's office. How is that possible? Their legal team is very good, unfortunately. The appeal could take months. Brandon's jaw was tight. But don't worry. They can't come near Sterling property. There are restraining orders in place. What if they come after me? I'm the one who found the evidence. They won't. I won't let them. I'm hiring additional security for the building and for you personally if necessary. Brandon, that's excessive. It's not. These people stole $800 million. Who knows what they're capable of? Antoinette tried to push down her fear, but it lingered. That night, she had trouble sleeping, every sound making her jump. Brandon stayed with her, holding her until she finally dozed off. The next morning brought a delivery to Sterling's main office. A package addressed to Antoinette Harris, Director of Financial Oversight. Security called Brandon immediately. Sir, there's a suspicious package here. We've contacted authorities. Don't open it. Don't let anyone near it. The bomb squad arrived within 20 minutes. The building was evacuated as they examined the package. Antoinette stood outside with Brandon, his arm around her shoulders, watching as officers carefully opened the box. Inside they found a stack of papers and a note. No bomb, no weapon. Just words, you should have minded your own business. This isn't over. They're threatening you, Brandon said, fury in his voice. That's it. I'm calling every lawyer I know. Those 3 are going back to prison where they belong. Brandon, maybe we should just let it go. Let it go? Antoinette, they're threatening you. It's just papers and words. They can't actually hurt me. Not physically maybe, but this is intimidation. This is them trying to scare you into silence. He cupped her face in his hands. I will not let them make you afraid. We're going to fight this. Together. She nodded, drawing strength from his certainty. Together. The investigation into the threatening package moved quickly. Fingerprints on the papers matched Patricia Chin. She was arrested again within hours, her bail revoked. The appeal for all 3 was denied shortly after, and they returned to prison to serve their full sentences. Crisis averted, but the experience had shaken Antoinette. For the first time since finding the fraud, she understood the full danger of what she had done. These were not just white-collar criminals. They were people desperate enough to threaten violence. I'm proud of you, Brandon said that night as they sat in his apartment. You could have backed down, but you didn't. I'm not brave. I'm terrified. Being brave doesn't mean you're not scared. It means you do the right thing despite being scared. That's exactly what you did. I couldn't do it without you. Yes, you could. But I'm glad you don't have to. The incident brought them closer. Brandon became even more protective but not in a controlling way. He made sure she felt safe while respecting her independence. And Antoinette learned to lean on him, to accept help without feeling weak. Their relationship had weathered its first real test, and they had come through stronger on the other side. Autumn painted the city in gold and red. 6 months had passed since the threatening package, 6 months of peace and growth. Morrison, Chin, and Wright were serving their sentences with no possibility of early release. The appeals had been denied permanently. Justice, it seemed, had finally won. Antoinette's first semester of MBA classes had gone brilliantly. Her professors praised her insights, her classmates respected her real-world experience, and she had made Dean's List. The girl who had dropped out to care for her mother was thriving academically. At Sterling Global Technologies, she had been promoted again, this time to Vice President of Financial Integrity. The promotion came with a larger office, a team of analysts to oversee, and a salary that made her tear up when she saw the offer letter. "You earned this," Brandon said when she accepted. "Every bit of it. A year ago I was cleaning these offices. Now I'm a vice president. A year ago you were preparing for this moment even if you didn't know it. Sometimes life is just about timing." Their relationship had grown deeper, more comfortable. They had keys to each other's apartments. Brandon kept clothes at her place, she kept toiletries at his. They talked about future plans, trips they wanted to take, books they wanted to read together, even what kind of dog they might get someday. "I'm thinking a golden retriever," Brandon said one Sunday morning as they made pancakes. "Friendly, loyal, good with kids." Kids. Antoinette's hand stilled on the spatula. "Eventually. Someday. If you want them. No pressure." He looked suddenly nervous. "Do you want kids?" "I think so. I never let myself think that far ahead before, but yes. Someday I'd like to be a mother." "Good. Because I'd like to be a father." "With you specifically." Her heart melted. "With me specifically?" "Only you." He kissed her temple. "You're it for me, Antoinette Harris. I hope you know that." "I'm beginning to." That afternoon they visited her mother. Diane had fully recovered from her surgery and was back to her energetic self, volunteering at a local community center and taking art classes she had always dreamed of. "My babies," she greeted them, hugging both. "I made your favorite, Antoinette. Lasagna." Over lunch, Diane shared news about her week. The community center, her art class, a new friend she had made at church. She was happy, truly happy, in a way Antoinette had not seen in years. "Mom, you're glowing," Antoinette said. "I feel good, baby. For the first time in so long, I feel like myself again. And it's thanks to you too." She looked at Brandon. "You gave my daughter a chance and you gave me my health back. I'll never be able to thank you enough." "You don't have to thank me, Mrs. Harris. Taking care of people I love is my privilege." "People you love?" Diane's eyes twinkled. "Is that so?" Brandon glanced at Antoinette, then back to Diane. "Yes, ma'am. I love your daughter very much." "Good. She loves you too. I can tell." After lunch, while Diane napped, Brandon and Antoinette walked through her mother's neighborhood. "Your mom is doing really well," Brandon observed. "She is. I was so worried about her for so long. Now she has her life back." "So do you." "I do." Antoinette squeezed his hand. "All because you believed in me." "No. All because you believed in yourself enough to take a chance." That evening, back at Brandon's apartment, they curled up on the couch with wine and a movie. Halfway through, Brandon muted the television. "I want to talk about something," he said. "Okay. You sound serious." "I am. But it's good serious, I think." He turned to face her fully. "Antoinette, we've been together for 7 months now. In that time, you've become the most important person in my life. I can't imagine my days without you in them." "I feel the same way. So, I've been thinking. My lease is up next month and I was wondering, would you want to move in together? Either you move here or I move to your place or we find somewhere new together. I just want to wake up next to you every morning." Joy flooded through her. "Really? Really? If it's too soon, that's okay. We can wait. But I wanted you to know that I'm ready whenever you are. It's not too soon. Yes, let's move in together." "Yes. Yes." She kissed him, pouring all her love into it. "I want that too. I want a life with you." They spent the next few hours talking logistics. They decided to find a new place together, something that would be theirs rather than his or hers. Somewhere with space for an office for her studies, and maybe that golden retriever they had talked about. "I can't believe this is my life," Antoinette said as they browsed apartment listings on Brandon's laptop. "A year ago, I was struggling to pay rent on a studio apartment. Now you're looking at penthouses with me. It's surreal. It's earned. You worked for this, Antoinette. Don't ever forget that. The following week they found the perfect place. A 3-bedroom apartment with huge windows, a modern kitchen, and enough space for both of them to work from home when needed. The building had a gym, a rooftop garden, and security that made them both feel safe. This is it, Antoinette said, standing in the empty living room. I can see our life here. Me too. Brandon pulled her close. Let's make an offer. They signed the lease 2 weeks later and spent November moving in together. Friends helped carry boxes. Dorothy sent a housewarming gift of expensive wine, and Diane contributed homemade curtains for the bedroom. Our home, Brandon said on their first night in the apartment, both of them exhausted from unpacking but happy. I love you, Antoinette. I love you too. So much. December brought finals for Antoinette's first semester. She studied constantly, Brandon quizzing her on financial theories and bringing her coffee during late-night cram sessions. You're going to ace these exams, he assured her. I hope so. I want to make you proud. I'm already proud. But you're doing this for yourself, not for me. Remember that. She finished her exams with confidence and spent the week before Christmas relaxing for the first time in months. Brandon had surprised her with plane tickets to Paris. We're really going? She asked, staring at the tickets. We're really going. 2 weeks in Paris, just like you dreamed about. They spent Christmas with Diane, then flew to Paris on New Year's Eve. The city was everything Antoinette had imagined. Beautiful, romantic, alive with history and art. They visited the Eiffel Tower, walked along the Seine, ate croissants in tiny cafes and got lost in the Louvre. My mother would have loved this, Antoinette said one evening as they watched the sunset from Montmartre. We'll come back with her sometime. Show her everything you've seen. Really? Really? I want your mom to experience this too. On their last night in Paris, Brandon took her to an elegant restaurant overlooking the city. They had champagne and incredible food, and Antoinette felt like she was living in a dream. After dinner, Brandon suggested a walk. They strolled through a nearby park, the Eiffel Tower sparkling in the distance. Antoinette, Brandon said, stopping near a fountain. This past year with you has been the best of my life. You've made me happier than I knew was possible. You challenge me, support me, and love me for who I am, not what I have or what position I hold. Brandon, what are you? He dropped to one knee, pulling a small box from his pocket. I don't want to imagine my life without you. I want every morning to start with your face. I want to build a future together, have that golden retriever, maybe those kids we talked about. I want everything with you. Tears streamed down Antoinette's face. Antoinette Harris, will you marry me? He opened the box to reveal a stunning ring, simple but elegant, exactly her style. Yes, she whispered. Yes, absolutely yes. Brandon slid the ring onto her finger, then stood and kissed her as the Eiffel Tower sparkled behind them. People nearby applauded, but Antoinette barely heard them. All she could focus on was the man she loved, the life they would build together, and the impossible joy of this moment. I can't wait to marry you, Brandon said against her lips. I can't wait either. They called Diane from the hotel, putting her on video chat to show her the ring. Oh, my baby girl, Diane sobbed happy tears. I'm so happy for you. He proposed in Paris, Mama. Just like you always dreamed about. Even better than I dreamed. You're getting the fairy tale, baby? I really am. That night, lying in bed with Brandon's arms around her, Antoinette thought about the journey that had brought her here. From struggling cleaning lady to successful executive. From invisible to valued. From alone to loved beyond measure. What are you thinking about? Brandon asked sleepily. How much my life has changed. How grateful I am. I'm the grateful one. You saved my company, and then you saved me from a life without this kind of love. We saved each other. We did. And now we get forever to keep doing it. Forever. The word used to scare her, used to seem impossible. Now it felt like a promise, like hope, like everything she had ever wanted. Antoinette Harris, the cleaning lady who had saved $800 million, was engaged to the man she loved. She was successful, respected, and finally believed she deserved it all. The future stretched ahead, bright and beautiful, full of possibilities. And she could not wait to see what came next. Spring returned to the city, bringing with it wedding planning and new opportunities. Antoinette and Brandon set a date for November, giving them 10 months to plan while juggling work and her continued MBA studies. I want something simple, Antoinette said one Saturday as they met with a wedding planner. Not a huge production. Just people we love celebrating with us. Whatever you want, Brandon agreed. Big, small, anything. I just want to marry you. The wedding planner, a efficient woman named Carol Stevens, smiled. Simple can still be beautiful. Let's talk about what simple means to you. They planned over coffee and cake samples, deciding on an outdoor ceremony at a botanical garden, dinner for 100 guests, and dancing under the stars. Diane would walk Antoinette down the aisle. Brandon's mother would do a reading. It would be perfect without being pretentious. At work, the news of their engagement had spread quickly. Most reactions were positive, with colleagues congratulating them genuinely. Dorothy had hugged them both at the announcement. It's about time, she said. I've been watching you two dance around each other for months. I'm glad you finally figured it out. You knew? Antoinette asked. Everyone knew. You two light up when you're together. It was obvious to anyone paying attention. A few people were less enthusiastic. A new executive, William Foster, Richard's nephew who had joined Sterling 6 months earlier, made his disapproval known in a meeting. I just think we should maintain professional boundaries, he said when Brandon mentioned taking time off for the honeymoon. Mixing business with personal life can complicate things. My personal life is none of your business, William, Brandon said coolly. And Antoinette earned her position long before we started dating. Her work speaks for itself. I'm just saying what others are thinking. No, you're saying what you're thinking. Don't project your opinions onto others. After the meeting, Antoinette pulled Brandon aside. You didn't have to defend me like that. Yes, I did. William was being disrespectful. I can handle disrespect. I know you can. But you shouldn't have to. He cupped her face. We're partners in everything now. When someone comes at you, they come at me too. Same goes for you. I know. That's what marriage is, right? Having each other's backs. Always. That weekend, they hosted a small engagement party at their apartment. Rachel, Vanessa, Dorothy, a few other close colleagues, and Diane filled their living room with laughter and love. Speech, someone called out. Brandon stood, pulling Antoinette up with him. I'll keep this short. A year and a half ago, Antoinette found evidence of fraud in my company. She could have ignored it, could have walked away. Instead, she chose to do the right thing. That choice changed both our lives completely. She saved Sterling, but more importantly, she saved me from missing out on the greatest love of my life. Antoinette, you make me better every single day. I can't wait to be your husband. Antoinette wiped tears from her eyes. Brandon gave me a chance when no one else would. He saw potential in me that I didn't see in myself. He's kind, generous, and the best partner I could have asked for. I love you so much. I love you too. To many more years of partnership. They kissed as their friends applauded. Later, as guests mingled, Diane pulled Antoinette aside. Baby girl, I need to tell you something. What's wrong, Mama? You look serious. Nothing's wrong. Everything's so right that it scares me sometimes. Diane took her hands. You know I'm proud of you. But I need you to know how proud your father would be too. Antoinette stiffened at the mention of her father. He left us, Mama. He doesn't get to be proud. I know. And what he did was wrong. But he was still your father, and he would be amazed by the woman you've become. I just thought you should know that. Why are you bringing him up now? Because weddings make you think about family, about where we come from. I don't want you walking down that aisle with any anger in your heart. Diane squeezed her hands. Forgive him, baby. Not for his sake. For yours. Let go of that weight. Antoinette had not thought about her father in years, had buried the hurt and betrayal so deep she barely remembered it was there. But her mother was right. Carrying that anger served no purpose. I'll try, Mama. That's all I ask. May brought final exams again. Antoinette studied between wedding planning and work, somehow managing to keep all the plates spinning. Brandon supported her in every way he could, cooking dinner while she studied, quizzing her on concepts, and making sure she took breaks. You're going to burn out, he said one night, finding her awake at 2 a.m. with textbooks spread around her. I'm fine. You're exhausted. Come to bed. I have an exam in 6 hours. And you'll do better on it if you sleep. He closed her textbook gently. Antoinette, you know this material. You've been studying for weeks. Trust yourself. What if I fail? You won't. But even if you did, which you won't, you try again. That's what you do. You don't give up. She let him lead her to bed, falling asleep almost immediately. And he was right. She aced her exams, finishing her second semester with a 3.9 GPA. I told you, Brandon said when she showed him her grades. You're brilliant. I'm lucky to have you. We're lucky to have each other. June brought their 1-year anniversary of being together. Brandon planned a surprise dinner at the same Italian restaurant where they had their first date. "I can't believe it's been a year," Antoinette said as they sat at the same corner table. "Best year of my life." "Mine too." She reached across the table, taking his hand. "Thank you for being patient with me, for believing in me, for loving me. That's not something you thank someone for. Loving you is easy. It's the most natural thing in the world." Over dinner, they talked about their upcoming wedding, about the honeymoon they were planning to Greece, about future plans for Sterling and Antoinette's career. "I've been thinking," Antoinette said. "After I finish my MBA, I want to start a program at Sterling for employees who want to further their education. Tuition assistance, flexible scheduling, mentorship. Something that gives people the same chance you gave me." "I love that idea. Let's make it happen." "Really? Really? You could head the program, make it part of your role as VP. That would be perfect." She smiled. "See what I mean about you believing in me? I suggest something and you immediately make it possible. That's because your ideas are good. You see what needs to be done and you have the vision to make it happen. That's leadership, Antoinette. I learned from the best." Summer passed in a blur of happiness. Wedding plans came together beautifully. Diane's health remained strong. Antoinette started her third semester of MBA classes with confidence. And Sterling Global Technologies continued to thrive under Brandon's leadership, with Antoinette as his trusted partner. In August, the Donovan merger finally completed. Mitchell Donovan flew in for the signing, bringing his executive team with him. After the papers were signed and hands were shaken, Mitchell pulled Antoinette aside. "I wanted to thank you again," he said. "If you hadn't caught that fraud, I'd have lost everything. My company would have collapsed. I'm glad we could help. That offer still stands, by the way. If you ever want to leave Sterling, Donovan Tech would be honored to have you. I appreciate that, but I'm happy where I am." "I figured. Brandon's a lucky man. I'm the lucky one. I think you're both lucky. That's what real partnerships are." September brought Antoinette's final year of MBA studies. She was on track to graduate the following May, just 6 months after her wedding. The thought of checking off so many major life goals filled her with pride and gratitude. 2 years ago, I thought my dreams were dead," she told Brandon one evening as they cooked dinner together. "I had dropped out of school, was working 2 jobs just to survive, and couldn't see a path forward. Look at you now. Look at us. We built this life together. We did. And we're just getting started." October arrived with final wedding preparations. The dress was altered perfectly. The flowers were ordered. The venue was confirmed. Their vows were written. Everything was falling into place. 1 week before the wedding, Antoinette's father called. She stared at her phone, her father's name on the screen, unsure whether to answer. She hadn't spoken to him in over 20 years. "Who is it?" Brandon asked, noticing her frozen expression. "My father." "Do you want to answer?" She took a breath and accepted the call. "Hello? Antoinette? It's your father. James. I know who you are. I know I have no right to call. But I heard about your wedding from a mutual friend of your mother's. I wanted to congratulate you." "Thank you." Awkward silence stretched between them. "I also wanted to apologize," James continued. "For leaving. For not being there. For missing your entire life. I was young and stupid and scared, and I made the worst decision of my life when I walked away from you and your mother." Antoinette felt tears forming. "Why now? Why call now?" "Because I'm dying. Cancer. And I realized I have a lot of regrets, but leaving you is my biggest. I know I can't fix what I broke. But I wanted you to know that I'm sorry, and that I'm proud of you. You don't know me well enough to be proud. I followed your career. The news about the fraud, about you saving Sterling Global Technologies. I saw you on television. I thought, that's my daughter. She's brilliant and brave, and she got all of that from her mother because I certainly didn't give her anything." Antoinette wiped her eyes. Brandon put his arm around her shoulders, his presence grounding her. "I don't know what you want me to say," she told her father. "Nothing. I just wanted to apologize and to congratulate you on your wedding. I hope you're happy, Antoinette. You deserve every bit of happiness in the world." "Thank you. Goodbye, baby girl." The call ended. Antoinette stood there, phone in hand, emotions swirling. "Are you okay?" Brandon asked gently. "I don't know." He apologized. After 20 years, he finally apologized. "How do you feel about that?" "Sad. Angry. Relieved, maybe? I don't know." She looked at Brandon. "My mother told me to forgive him. I didn't understand why until now. He's dying. He wanted to make peace before he goes. Do you want to forgive him? I think I do. Not for his sake. For mine. So I can walk down that aisle next week without carrying all this old hurt. Then forgive him. Let it go. Start our marriage with a clean heart. She nodded, feeling the weight lifting. I forgive him. For everything. For leaving, for missing my life, for not being the father I needed. I forgive him. Brandon held her as she cried, releasing years of buried pain. When the tears finally stopped, she felt lighter, freer, ready for the next chapter. 1 week, Brandon said, kissing her forehead. In 1 week you'll be my wife. I can't wait. Neither can I. The week passed in a blur of final preparations and nervous excitement. And then, finally, November arrived with perfect weather and endless possibilities. Their wedding day was almost here. November 3rd dawned with clear skies and perfect autumn weather. Antoinette woke in her childhood bedroom at her mother's house, tradition dictating she and Brandon spend the night before the wedding apart. You nervous? Diane asked, bringing her coffee. You nervous? Diane asked, bringing her coffee in bed. Terrified. Excited. Happy. All of it at once. That's exactly how you should feel. Diane sat on the edge of the bed. My baby girl is getting married today. I wish I could tell 20-year-old me that this would happen. That dropping out wouldn't be the end. That everything would work out. She wouldn't believe you. Sometimes we have to walk through the hard times to appreciate the good ones. Rachel arrived at 9 with breakfast and the wedding party. 3 of Antoinette's closest friends from her MBA program. They filled the house with laughter and champagne as they got ready. At the botanical garden, Brandon was having a similar morning with his groomsmen. His best friend from college, his cousin, and surprisingly Mitchell Donovan, who had become a genuine friend over the past months. You ready for this? Mitchell asked as they adjusted their ties. More ready than I've ever been for anything. Brandon checked his watch. 3 more hours. Cold feet. Not even slightly. Antoinette is the best thing that ever happened to me. I just want to get to the part where she's my wife. You're a lucky man. I know. At noon, guests began arriving at the botanical garden. The ceremony space was set up under an arch covered in flowers, chairs arranged in neat rows, and soft music playing. Dorothy arrived early, hugging Brandon tightly. Your father would be so proud, she said. Not just of Sterling's success but of the man you've become. The way you love Antoinette, the way you've built a partnership with her, that's real success. Thank you, Dorothy. That means everything. At 1 o'clock the music changed. Brandon took his position under the arch, his heart racing. The wedding party walked down the aisle and then finally Antoinette appeared. She wore a simple white dress that was elegant without being flashy, her hair in soft curls, carrying flowers that matched the arch. Diane walked beside her, pride shining in her eyes. Brandon's breath caught. She was the most beautiful thing he had ever seen. Antoinette walked toward him, her smile bright and certain. When she reached the arch, Diane kissed her cheek and placed her hand in Brandon's. Take care of my baby, Diane whispered to him. Always, he promised. The officiant, a family friend of Brandon's, smiled at them both. Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to witness the union of Brandon Pierce and Antoinette Harris. This couple has chosen to write their own vows. Brandon, would you like to begin? Brandon took both of Antoinette's hands, his voice steady despite the emotion in his eyes. Antoinette, the night you walked into my office with evidence of fraud, you changed my life. You could have walked away, kept quiet, protected yourself. Instead, you chose to do what was right. That courage, that integrity, that's who you are at your core. You've made me a better man, a better leader, a better person. You challenged me to think differently, to see beyond numbers and profits to the people behind them. You've shown me what real partnership looks like, what it means to build something together. I promise to support your dreams the way you've supported mine. I promise to believe in you even when you doubt yourself. I promise to make you laugh, to hold you when you cry, and to choose you every single day for the rest of our lives. I love you, Antoinette Harris. I can't wait to spend forever with you. Antoinette wiped tears from her eyes, then took a breath to steady herself. Brandon, you saw me when I was invisible. You believed in me when I didn't believe in myself. You gave me a chance that changed everything, not because you had to, but because you saw potential I couldn't see. You've taught me that success isn't just about money or position. It's about lifting others up, about creating opportunities, about using what you have to make the world better. You've taught me that love is partnership, that it's choosing each other over and over again. I promise to be your partner in all things. I promise to support your vision while challenging you to grow. I promise to love you through easy times and hard ones, through success and setback. I promise to build a life with you that honors both of us, where we lift each other up and create something beautiful together. I love you, Brandon Pierce. Today and always. The officiant smiled through his own tears. By the power vested in me, I now pronounce you husband and wife. Brandon, you may kiss your bride. Brandon pulled Antoinette close and kissed her as their guests erupted in applause. When they broke apart, both were crying and laughing at the same time. I love you, Mrs. Pierce, Brandon whispered. I love you too, Mr. Pierce. They walked back down the aisle together, hand in hand, ready to face whatever came next as husband and wife. The reception was held in a beautiful hall adjacent to the garden. Dinner was served, toasts were given, and Dorothy's speech had everyone alternating between tears and laughter. I've known Brandon since he was 23 years old, fresh out of business school and determined to change the world, Dorothy said, raising her glass. He's built Sterling Global Technologies into something remarkable. But his greatest achievement isn't the company. It's the partnership he's built with Antoinette. Watching these two work together, support each other, and love each other has reminded all of us what really matters. Success means nothing if you don't have someone to share it with. Brandon and Antoinette, you've found that in each other. May your marriage be as strong as your partnership, as lasting as your commitment to doing what's right, and as joyful as this celebration. To the happy couple. To the happy couple, everyone echoed, raising their glasses. Diane's toast came next, her voice thick with emotion. My daughter has overcome so much to get here. Hard times, sacrifice, doubt. But she never gave up. She kept pushing forward, kept believing that better days were coming. And then she met Brandon, who saw her brilliance and gave her a platform to shine. Antoinette, you've made me so proud. Not because you married well, though Brandon is wonderful. But because you fought for your dreams and refused to let circumstances define you. You deserve every bit of happiness you've found. I love you, baby girl. And Brandon, welcome to our family. Thank you for loving my daughter the way she deserves. After dinner, Brandon and Antoinette shared their first dance as husband and wife. The song was one they had chosen together, something about building a life and choosing love daily. How are you feeling? Brandon asked as they swayed together. Like the luckiest woman alive. That's funny. I feel like the luckiest man alive. We can both be lucky. We absolutely are. Other couples joined them on the dance floor. Antoinette danced with her mother, Brandon with his. Friends and family celebrated together, the joy in the room almost tangible. Late in the evening, as the party was winding down, Antoinette found a quiet moment with Rachel. Thank you for everything, Antoinette said, hugging her friend. For helping me when I started at Sterling, for becoming my friend, for always believing in me. You made it easy. You're one of the best people I know, Antoinette. I'm honored to call you my friend. And I'm grateful to have you in my life. Brandon found them and wrapped his arms around Antoinette from behind. Ready to go, Mrs. Pierce? Our car is waiting. Where are we going? That's a surprise. They said goodbye to their guests, thanking everyone for celebrating with them. Diane hugged them both tightly, tears streaming down her face. Be happy, babies. That's all I want for you. We will, Mama. I promise. The car took them to a luxury hotel downtown where Brandon had booked the penthouse suite for the night. Tomorrow they would fly to Greece for 2 weeks, but tonight was just for them. In the suite, Brandon carried Antoinette over the threshold, both of them laughing at the traditional gesture. I can't believe we're married, Antoinette said, looking at the ring on her finger. Believe it? You're stuck with me now. Best thing that ever happened to me. They stayed up late talking about the day, about how perfect everything had been, about their hopes for the future. Eventually, exhaustion caught up with them, and they fell asleep wrapped in each other's arms. The next 2 weeks in Greece were magical. They explored ancient ruins, swam in crystal-clear waters, ate incredible food, and fell more in love with each other. No work emails, no responsibilities, just two people enjoying being newlyweds. I could stay here forever, Antoinette said one evening as they watched the sunset over the Mediterranean. Me too. But we have a life waiting for us back home. A good life. The best life. Brandon kissed her softly. Thank you for marrying me. Thank you for asking. When they returned home, reality awaited, but it was a reality they had built together. Sterling Global Technologies welcomed them back with a banner in the lobby. Congratulations, Mr. and Mrs. Pierce. They didn't, Antoinette laughed. Oh, they absolutely did. Rachel's idea, I'm sure. Work resumed its normal pace. Antoinette dove into her final semester of MBA classes with renewed energy. The employee education program she had proposed was approved by the board and scheduled to launch in the spring. Her team in the financial integrity department was thriving under her leadership. Brandon continued to run Sterling with vision and integrity, always with Antoinette as his trusted partner. Together, they made decisions that benefited not just the bottom line but the people who worked there. January brought Antoinette's final semester of classes. She was so close to finishing her degree, to achieving a goal she had thought lost forever. Brandon supported her through long study sessions and final projects, never complaining about the time she needed to dedicate to school. In March, the employee education program launched with 25 employees enrolled in various degree programs. Antoinette personally mentored 5 of them, sharing her own story and encouraging them to pursue their dreams. "You're changing lives," Brandon told her after the launch event. "These people are getting opportunities they never thought possible, just like you did. That's exactly why this matters. Everyone deserves a chance." April arrived with wedding photos which they displayed throughout their apartment. Every photo captured genuine joy, real love, the kind of happiness that couldn't be faked. "We look good together," Antoinette said, studying a photo of them dancing. "We are good together. In every way that matters." May brought her MBA graduation. Antoinette walked across the stage to receive her diploma, Brandon and Diane cheering loudly from the audience. Years of work, sacrifice, and determination had led to this moment. After the ceremony, Brandon handed her flowers. "I'm so proud of you. I couldn't have done it without you." "Yes, you could have. But I'm glad you didn't have to." That evening they celebrated with Diane, Dorothy, Rachel, and close friends. It was a smaller gathering than the wedding but no less meaningful. To Antoinette, Dorothy toasted. "Who proves that it's never too late to chase your dreams? You inspire all of us." To Antoinette, everyone echoed. Later, alone with Brandon, Antoinette reflected on how far she had come. 2 years ago, I was cleaning offices at night and wondering if my life would ever be more than that. Look at you now. MBA graduate, vice president, my wife. You've accomplished so much. We've accomplished so much. This is our success, Brandon. Not just mine. Then let's celebrate us. Everything we've built, everything we're still building." Summer brought new adventures. They adopted a golden retriever puppy named Charlie, who filled their apartment with chaos and love. They took weekend trips exploring the countryside. They hosted dinner parties for friends and family. They lived fully, loving deeply, grateful for every moment. In August, Antoinette discovered she was pregnant. She took 3 tests to be sure, then sat on the bathroom floor, overwhelmed with joy and fear. They had talked about kids, had agreed they wanted them eventually. But eventually had arrived sooner than planned. "Brandon," she called out. He appeared in the doorway immediately. "What's wrong?" "Nothing's wrong. Something's very right." She held up the test. "We're having a baby." His face transformed, joy overtaking every feature. "Really? Are you sure?" 3 tests sure. Brandon dropped to his knees, pulling her into his arms. "We're having a baby. Antoinette, we're going to be parents. Are you happy? Are you kidding?" "I'm thrilled. Scared but thrilled." "You." "Same. I didn't think it would happen this fast. Life has a way of happening exactly when it's supposed to." They told Diane that weekend. Her reaction was everything they hoped. Tears, laughter, and immediate plans to spoil her grandchild. "My baby is having a baby," Diane kept saying, hugging Antoinette tightly. At work, the news was met with congratulations and immediate planning for maternity leave. Dorothy insisted Antoinette take as much time as she needed. "Sterling will be here when you're ready to come back," Dorothy said. "Family comes first." The months passed in a blur of doctor's appointments, nursery planning, and baby books. Brandon attended every appointment, asked a million questions, and was generally the most excited father-to-be Antoinette had ever seen. "I can't wait to meet them," he said one night, his hand on her growing belly. 3 more months. Best 3 months of anticipation ever. In February, Antoinette's water broke at 2 in the morning. Brandon drove her to the hospital, both of them excited and terrified. Diane met them there, refusing to miss the birth of her grandchild. 14 hours later, Elizabeth Diane Pierce entered the world. She was perfect, healthy, beautiful, and loved beyond measure. "She has your eyes," Brandon said, holding his daughter for the first time. "She has your smile," Antoinette countered. "She's ours. That's all that matters." Diane cried happy tears as she held her granddaughter. "Welcome to the world, sweet girl. You have no idea how loved you are." Over the next few days, visitors came and went. Dorothy brought gifts. Rachel brought flowers. The Sterling executive team sent a massive basket of baby supplies. Everyone wanted to meet Elizabeth. But the best moments were the quiet ones, just the three of them. Brandon and Antoinette taking turns holding their daughter, marveling at her tiny fingers and toes, falling more in love with each other through their shared love for this little person. "We made this," Antoinette whispered one night as they watched Elizabeth sleep. "We did. And we're going to give her the best life possible. Full of love and opportunity. Just like you gave me. We gave each other." 3 years passed in a beautiful blur. Elizabeth grew from baby to toddler, filling their home with laughter and chaos. Antoinette returned to work after 6 months, balancing career and motherhood with Brandon's full support. The employee education program she had started now served over 100 employees, changing lives throughout Sterling. Brandon continued to lead Sterling with vision and heart, always with Antoinette as his partner. Together they built something bigger than just a company. They built a community, a family of employees who felt valued and supported. One Saturday morning, Antoinette woke to find Brandon already up, playing with Elizabeth in the living room. Charlie the dog sprawled on the floor, tail wagging. "Mama?" Elizabeth squealed, running to her. Antoinette scooped up her daughter, breathing in that perfect toddler smell. "Good morning, baby girl. Daddy made pancakes." "Did he now?" Brandon appeared from the kitchen, covered in flour. "I attempted pancakes. The kitchen might be a disaster." "But the pancakes are delicious," Elizabeth insisted. Over breakfast, messy and imperfect and wonderful, Antoinette looked at her family. Her husband, who believed in her when no one else did. Her daughter, who represented everything good they had created together. Their dog, who added chaos and love in equal measure. This was her life. Not perfect but real. Not easy but worthwhile. Not what she had planned, but so much better than anything she could have imagined. "What are you thinking about?" Brandon asked, noticing her expression. "Just how grateful I am. For all of this. For you, for Elizabeth, for the life we've built. I'm grateful too. Every single day." That afternoon they took Elizabeth to the park. She ran ahead, Brandon chasing after her while Antoinette watched. Her phone buzzed with a text from her mother. "Just got invited to speak at a women's recovery group about overcoming health challenges. They want to hear my story. Can you believe it?" Antoinette smiled, texting back, "I absolutely believe it, Mama. You inspire everyone who meets you. I learned from the best. My daughter, who never gave up. We learned from each other. Love you, Mama." "Love you too, baby girl." Antoinette put her phone away, watching her husband and daughter play. In 3 years they would probably have another child. Brandon wanted a big family, and so did she. The nursery at home was already being planned for baby number 2, whenever that happened. Sterling Global Technologies was thriving. The Donovan merger had been incredibly successful. The employee education program was being featured in business magazines as an example of corporate responsibility. Antoinette's department had prevented 2 more fraud attempts, her expertise now recognized industry-wide. Life was full, beautiful, and constantly evolving. That evening, after Elizabeth was asleep and Charlie was snoring on his bed, Brandon and Antoinette sat on their balcony overlooking the city. "Remember that night you found the papers on my executive floor?" Brandon asked. "How could I forget? It changed everything. What do you think would have happened if you had just thrown them away? Morrison, Chin, and Wright would still be stealing. Sterling would have lost everything eventually. And we never would have gotten to know each other. Fate is funny that way. One decision, one moment of courage, and everything changes. It wasn't just that moment, though. It was every choice after that. Choosing to work with you. Choosing to trust you. Choosing to love you. Choosing to marry me. That was the easiest choice I ever made." She leaned against him, his arm coming around her shoulders naturally. "I love our life, Brandon. I love what we've built together." "Me too. And we're just getting started." "What do you mean?" "I mean we have decades ahead of us. More kids if we're lucky. Watching Elizabeth grow up. Building Sterling into something even better. Growing old together." He kissed the top of her head. "I can't wait for all of it." "Neither can I." They sat in comfortable silence, watching the city lights twinkle below them. Somewhere out there, someone else was cleaning offices at night, working multiple jobs, wondering if life would ever get better. Someone else was discovering evidence of wrongdoing and deciding whether to speak up. Someone else was meeting a person who would change everything. Antoinette hoped those people found their own version of this happiness. She hoped they chose courage over fear, hope over despair, love over loneliness. She hoped they believed in themselves even when no one else did. Because that's what had made the difference for her. Not luck, though she had been lucky. Not Brandon's money or position, though those had opened doors. What had truly changed her life was her own decision to believe she deserved better, to reach for opportunities when they appeared, and to trust that doing the right thing mattered even when it was hard. The cleaning lady who had saved $800 million had become so much more than that moment defined. She was a wife, a mother, a vice president, an MBA graduate, a mentor, and a woman who knew her worth. And she had learned that perfect timing isn't about when things happen. It's about being ready when they do. It's about preparation meeting opportunity. It's about courage meeting chance. Her journey had started with papers on a floor and a choice to care about what they meant. It had led to love, success, family, and a life beyond her wildest dreams. "Thank you," she whispered to Brandon. "For what?" "For seeing me. For believing in me. For loving me. Thank you for letting me. For choosing me back. For building this life with me. Always and forever. Always and forever." As the stars emerged in the night sky, Antoinette Harris Pierce sat with her husband on their balcony, grateful for every moment that had brought her here. The past was forgiven. The present was cherished. And the future stretched ahead, bright with promise and possibility. Kindness had led her forward. Hope had sustained her through hard times. And love had given her everything she never knew she needed. This was her happily ever after. Not because life was perfect, but because she had chosen to make it beautiful. Not because everything was easy, but because the hard things were worthwhile. Not because she had been rescued, but because she had saved herself and found a partner to walk beside her. The billionaire CEO had caught the cleaning lady saving $800 million at 2 a.m. And in doing so they had saved each other. The end was really just the beginning.